Hey guys, it's Melanie. Welcome back, or welcome if you are new. I hope you're having a fantastic day. It is another in-depth candle review day here on my channel, so we are continuing on with some thoughts on some new to me spring summer candles. If you missed it, the very first video that went live pretty early this morning was a review of Country Candle Sugared Peony. If you're interested in that fragrance at all, I'll go ahead and link the review in the description box right below this video here. Feel free to check that out if you are so inclined. Also down in the description box, I'll put a link to where you can purchase the candle that we are discussing in this video here. This is ScentWorx Lemon Blueberry Muffin. I was kindly gifted 5 of the newly revamped ScentWorx candles recently by Rakuten & Co. And I have started sharing my thoughts on those fragrances. This is actually just the second in-depth candle review. But so far, I think that my general consensus regarding this revamp is that I'm just generally not a big fan of the change that happened. I do think it is definitely affecting the overall strength and throw, and I would say performance of the candles. I have now burned most of these candles almost completely the whole way through. In fact, this one here is probably on its last burn today. I'll just turn it to the side here so that you can see how low I am. Now, it's a little bit deceiving in terms of the progress that I've made here, because there were actually 2 separate occasions where the wicks became so small, or puny, if you will, that I had to pour out some of the wax in order to let the wicks recover. Now, when I did that, the wicks recovered very quickly and the subsequent couple of burns were fine, but then it happened again. So I have now poured out a little bit of wax twice, but all that being said, for what it's worth, I think I'm at the last burn here, so I think it's definitely time to formally review this one. I do have some positive aspects here, so I'm not going to entirely, poop on this candle, I guess you could say. But I just think that the overall burn performance here has really been diminished, and I think it has mostly to do with the vessels. So we'll discuss that a little bit more when we get to the overall burn quality, but let's go ahead and turn the pretty label back around here, and let's dig in to the scent description. I'll take you guys through what I actually smell in here. We'll discuss the strength and the throw, and then we'll get to that burn quality. All right, so the scent story here reads, fresh blueberries are folded into vanilla baked scones that are topped with lemon curd and a powdered sugar glaze, creating a true to life treat sensation. The top notes here are blueberry, lemon curd, and citrus zest. The middle notes are baked notes and powdered sugar, and then the base notes are vanilla extract, caramel, and musk. All right. In terms of the fragrance here, I actually really enjoy this scent. I think it smells pretty delicious. I think it is fairly authentic. I really actually like this blueberry note specifically. I think that in general, even when it comes to HomeWorx candles, blueberries are one of those fragrance notes that I think Harry just excels at for some reason. This particular blueberry is it's a very deep blueberry note, very rich, very actually authentic. It honestly tastes like you are just scooping up a handful of fresh, perfectly ripe summer blueberries and chucking them in your mouth. Delicious blueberry note. I'm a big fan of that. So that top note of the blueberry, definitely one of the first things that I smell here. I do get a healthy dose of lemon here. I wouldn't have necessarily described it as lemon curd, but It is definitely a sweeter take on lemon. So as long as you're good with the lemon having quite a bit of sweetness to it. And honestly, if you're gonna pick a scent like this, I'm gonna assume that you're expecting some sweetness or some sugar in here. Typically, you know, lemon blueberry muffins have some sweetness to them, so it would make sense for this fragrance to be a little sweeter. I don't think it's cloying at all. I think it's actually the perfect level of sweetness. But yeah, that lemon is just really fresh smelling. Again, fairly authentic. It's a nice lemon. I don't really get too much of that zest note. It's more of, I guess you could say, like a creamy lemon, which lemon curd would have that kind of scent to it. So it makes sense. The baked notes. I do think that there is just kind of a, I wouldn't necessarily call it a muffin note, but there is just a generic kind of gourmand baked good type note here. It suits the fragrance. It's nice. I think it makes sense and it's enjoyable. Powdered sugar. Yeah, I mean, in the sense that this is a sweet scent, but it's not like a straight up powdered sugar note that hits my nose. Vanilla extract, yes. Again, I think that goes in line with just that kind of generic baked good type note that I get from this. I do not get any caramel. I didn't think that that caramel note made any sense in here. I've never had a blueberry or a lemon blueberry muffin that has had any caramel anywhere near it. So I'm glad I didn't pick up that particular note. There is no caramel here. So if you were excited about that, I guess maybe sorry to bust your bubble there, but listen, this smells like a lemon blueberry scone or a lemon blueberry muffin or a lemon blueberry cake, whatever you want to call it. It smells delicious. I think the notes are actually fairly authentic. I don't think this one smells waxy. I think it actually smells really good. This and I think the iced is it iced sugar cookie or sugar cookie scent are definitely two of my favorites. I really like the golden vanilla as well, but I'm kind of struggling with the performance of that one. But in terms of the authenticity of some of these fragrances, I do think that there are some of them that are quite authentic and that, you know, they're a delicious fragrance. I tend to gravitate towards gourmands myself, so those were the fragrances that I kind of selected as being the ones that I was most interested in reviewing. I'm glad I did because, like I said, there are a couple of scents here that are really lovely. But let's go ahead and review the strength and the throw here, because obviously the fragrance is nice, but the strength and the throw I think is probably going to be pretty important. So let's discuss that. Strength and throw here has really been a little bit of a roller coaster. On the days where I have had issues with the wicks drowning, the strength has been maybe about a 3 at best. Now, on the days where the flames are actually nice and tall, after removing some of the wax, then this actually ramps up to about a 5 in terms of strength and throw. So is it a real powerhouse? No. But is it completely unscented? No, it's not that either. I think that the type of person that would be attracted to this level of strength and throw would probably be someone who is maybe a little bit more sensitive to fragrance, someone who is looking for more of like a hint of a little something in the air. And I know that that's crazy to probably the vast majority of people watching this video, because most of us, I think, are looking for a fragrance to smack us in the face as we enter a room. But there are people out there that don't like a lot of aggressive fragrance. You know, they're just looking for a hint of something. And if you're one of those people, I do think that these ScentWorx candles might be worth looking into. But if you value at least a solid medium in terms of strength and throw, I'm not sure that you're going to be super pleased about the performance here. And then let's discuss that performance. So strength and throw, obviously, it's fine, but it's really not ideal. But you guys, it's the drowning wicks here that really are kind of driving me nuts with these ScentWorx candles. I'm not sure what it is. When you first get the candles, the wicks are really nice and long. So typically when it comes to any of my Rakuten & Co. candles that I have burned in the past, I will not trim the wicks during the first burn or prior to the first burn. I kind of just let them self-level, if you will. So I did that with these wicks, and they seem to do well, I would say, for the first 2 solid burns. Like, no drowning wicks. They pulled out just fine, had a decent, I would say, 1/2 inch to almost 1 inch wax pool. But after you get about 1/3 of the way into the candle, that's when I've discovered that most of the problems start happening. And it's like the wicks just kind of, they just want to disappear into the wax. The flames are so low. So you almost have to pour some of the wax out to even get the candle going again. So that can obviously be a little bit messy. There's a few different tricks that you can roll up, you know, a paper towel. Obviously, please extinguish the candle first before you do this. Typically, I will just pour the wax out into another container, and then I reuse that wax for something else. But yeah, you have to almost get rid of a little bit of the wax for the wicks to be able to correct themselves. They'll usually be fine for, you know, the subsequent couple of burns coming up. And then once again, like I said, it has been twice now where I've had to pour out a little bit of the wax to be able to get the flames to pick up again to get to this point in the candle. Now, I didn't pour out a significant amount of wax. It was probably the equivalent of like maybe 3 tablespoons or something like that. I didn't pour out a whole lot, just enough to give those wicks some room to breathe again, and then they were fine. But I don't think that you should have to do that. I think there's something wrong with the wicks here. And again, I think it's the vessel. I just hate the opening here. Anytime that you create like that lip that you see there around the opening, I think it kind of traps the fragrance, and it just doesn't give the best possible airflow, I feel like. And it just, I think, hinders the overall performance. So I don't know. I mean, these these candles, I will say, are they are more affordable now. When you purchase them at Walmart, they are in the $13 price range. I think for that price point, they probably make sense. But I would rather personally have a little bit more quality and maybe spend another, you know, $10 or maybe even another $15 or $20 for a candle of the same size, as long as it gives me a better strength and throw, as long as it gives me a better burn quality and doesn't require me to babysit the candle. This new ScentWorx revision here, for the most part across the board, has required quite a bit of babysitting on my part, and I just don't necessarily want to do that. My favorite thing is to be able to light a candle and let it go. And even if I let it go past the 3-hour mark, you know, I want to be able to hopefully trust that the candle is going to be okay if I do that. I just don't have the faith that based on these 5 candles that I've burned from this revamp, that that the other candles are going to perform any better in the lineup. So for what it's worth, those are my thoughts. I realize they're not super positive, but listen, if you are on a tighter budget and you are looking for a great gourmand option that you can easily pick up at your local Walmart, check the ScentWorx candles out. They might work out better for you than they have for me, but for me, these are not candles that I will personally be investing in. I'll still review the other 3 that I have left to provide reviews for. So those reviews will be coming up here over the course of the next couple days. I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch. Please let me know if you have any questions. Check out the description box if you're interested in picking this up, or reading up some other people's reviews, certainly feel free to do that. Like I said, I will have them linked down below. I appreciate you being here, and I will see you with one more in-depth review towards the end of the day here. Please subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Toodaloo.